following landlord and tenant educational models were developed as a community service in partnership between the City of Hutchinson, the United Way of Reno County, and the Housing and Credit Counseling, Inc. of Topeka, Kansas. A series of 8 educational models were developed and produced by HCCI to identify and address frequently raised landlord and tenant issues in the Hutchinson area. Topics included in the 8 educational models include topic of leases, security deposits, notices, evictions, move-in, move-out inspections, renters' rights, abandonment, and pets, companion animals, and service animals. All information discussed in the landlord-tenant educational models can be referenced in the Kansas Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, or the KRLTA. My rights as a renter, specifically maintenance and landlord right of entry, begins with KSA 582553, Duties of Landlord. Landlords are required to maintain systems and provide for adequate heat, running water, hot water, trash removal, and landlords are required to make repairs in a reasonable amount of time. The statute does not give a per hour of what reasonable amount of time is. Usually 24 hours is a reasonable amount of time. Regarding maintenance requests, HCCI encourages all individuals to make it a habit to document all landlord maintenance requests in writing. Document your maintenance requests in writing. Keep copies of all requests. Always keep copies of your requests. Per the statute, landlords are required to comply with applicable building and housing codes. Now, what does that mean? It differs from city to city. It can be a little different. So HCCI encourages you to call your local city code enforcement, your code compliance, if you have questions on whether or not your rental is up to code. Landlords are required to maintain in good and safe working order and condition a supply of running water and reasonable amounts of hot water at all times to their rental unit. In regards to common areas, under Statute 58-2553A2, landlords are to exercise reasonable care in the maintenance of common areas such as hallways, laundry rooms, parking lots, playgrounds. All are to be maintained and kept in good and safe and working order. Also, all electrical systems are to be maintained in good and safe working order and condition, including electrical outlets. There should not be any exposed wires. All light fixtures are supposed to be in working and good condition. Plumbing is important. There should not be any water leaks. Your bathroom facilities should be maintained in safe and good working order. Also, all kitchen drains. In the statute, it discusses sanitary. What is sanitary? Well, that includes your sewers and toilets. All of that should be open and in safe and working order. Heating. Landlords are required to provide adequate heating in their maintenance. Their furnaces need to provide adequate heating. Again, per your local codes, they may have different thresholds as to what safe and adequate heating is. In some cities, 68 degrees is considered the threshold. It cannot be below 68 degrees in the winter, and this is in accordance with the International Property and Maintenance Codes. Ventilating and air conditioning. Appliances, including elevators, supplied by or required to be supplied by the landlord. All of these must be maintained in good and safe working order and condition. Every habitable space shall have at least one open-able window. Landlords also required to have receptacles and conveniences for the removal of ashes, garbage, and rubbish. Basically, what this is saying is that landlords have to provide for trash removal. Also, it says landlords shall not interfere with or refuse to allow access or service to a tenant by a communication or cable television services. This is found under KSA 582553A5. Landlords cannot say, well, no, we don't want you to put cable in your house. Under this statute, landlords can't do that. Under maintenance requests, you'll find a section regarding 1430s. KSA 582559-1 discusses the 1430 notice option. After tenant informs landlord of request for maintenance and landlord is non-responsive to that request, KSA 582559-1 provides the tenant an option to terminate their lease in 30 days if the 1430 maintenance requests go unheeded within a 14-day period by the landlord. For more information on this process, see Module 2, Notices. Landlord's right to enter. Under KSA 582557, landlord's right to enter has limitations. Landlords do have the right to enter their rentals. However, the above-mentioned statute outlines the process landlords must follow. Under KSA 582557A, it states the landlord shall have the right to enter the dwelling unit at reasonable hours after reasonable notice to the tenant. Again, the question then becomes, what is reasonable hours? What is reasonable notice to the tenant? The statute does not say 24 hours. It does not say 10 hours. It does not say any kind of hours. It just says reasonable hours, reasonable notice. Under that statute, 582557A, the landlord shall have the right to enter the dwelling after reasonable notice is given to a tenant in order to inspect the premises, make necessary or agreed repairs, supply necessary or agreed prospective or actual purchases, mortgages, tenants, workmen, etc. Landlords do have the right to enter, provided they give reasonable notice to their tenant for these types of activities. In some instances, landlords do have the right to enter the dwelling without consent of the tenant, and that is discussed in KSA 582557B. The landlord may enter the dwelling without consent of the tenant in case of an extreme hazard involving potential loss of life or severe property damage. What does that mean? Severe property damage, potential loss of life. Again, the statute does not get specific. It just makes its general statements. But usually when there's fires, flooding,
or if someone is having a heart attack, what have you, in the apartment, and landlords need to get in there, that is what is considered potential loss of life or severe property damage. Under statute KSA 582557C, it also says that the landlords shall not abuse the right of access to use it to harass their tenants. Under KSA 582558, landlord's right to enter. Unless otherwise agreed, the tenant shall occupy such a tenant's dwelling unit only as a dwelling unit. The rental agreement may require that the tenant notify the landlord of any anticipated extended absence from the premises in excess of 7 days, no later than the first day of the extended absence. If the landlord thinks property has been abandoned, the landlord might want to enter the property and assess habitability.
To learn more about HCCI and HCCI's services, including landlord and tenant information, publications and forms, or if you need to speak to a landlord-tenant counselor, please call 785-234-0217 or go to www.hcci-ks.org.